In this video, I'm going to be going over the new Ark update, which added the Ossidon into Ark Survival Ascended. So this creature currently is spawning on the center of Aguero and Ragnarok in all of the snow biomes, and it seems to be spawning quite a lot. I've seen a lot of them be spawning on the map, so you should be able to find them. Not too difficult. It's mainly on Val that I was seeing a ton of them, so if you're having trouble, maybe go to that map, but I think they should be spawning pretty well on almost every map. Something to keep note here is this is a Lost Colony creature, so you're going to need the Lost Colony expansion pass, or you're going to need to pre-order it. And then once Lost Island does come out, you're not going to be able to find it on the center, Val, and Ragnarok. It's only going to be on Lost Island. They kind of released like our early things, so that way you can use it before the map comes out. I think it's kind of weird that they did that. You know, it takes away from like when the map actually comes out. But you know, whatever, we do get to use it now, so at least might as well still check it out. First thing I want to go over is the taming method for the Ossidon. It's pretty straightforward, but it is going to be a little bit difficult. Basically, you're going to need to knock it out, or try and knock it out. It's not a knockout tame, though. You'll kind of see. You basically need to get it to half torpor, and then once you do that, it's going to like knock out semi, like it should just kind of stand there stunned. And once it does that, you can go up to it and ride it. And then you can kind of tame it, similar to like a Karchar where you can ride it once you feed it. This one, you try and knock it out. Once it gets to half torpor, you can ride it. And then it's going to start creating a ball instantly, and then you kind of run around and you want to get creatures just in the ball. And then that's how you get the taming method up. And then I think like the bigger, so like lots of creatures are too big, and if you try and get them in there, it'll just instantly kick you off, and then you have to do this again. And you can keep doing it as many times as you want. It'll keep the taming, but your taming effectiveness is going to get screwed up if you hit something big, or if you're getting hit while you're like have them in a ball. So like if you get something small like a direwolf in your like snowball, it'll hit you, and then it'll start losing taming effectiveness. So this creature is going to be insanely annoying if you're trying to get a perfect tame on it. You mainly just want to try and get small passive tame, like passive creatures in there. So I'd say maybe lead this out into somewhere where it's not as dangerous, or try and like get a bunch of creatures beforehand before you start knocking it out. Because if you just can't find any creatures to put in your ball, you're going to get kicked off if you don't get enough creatures in there in time. Or if you just you know, hit up too big of a creature, then it's going to screw up the taming method. Of course, there probably is a lot more to this, but that is pretty straightforward, like just the straightforward taming method of how it works. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more nuance to this, and there'll be a lot of people that go in depth on how to tame it, but that's all I've figured out for now. Once you do get it tamed up, there's a bunch of stuff you're going to be able to do with it. It doesn't have like a ton of abilities like some of the newer creatures nowadays, but it does have a few. First off, you can cryopod this thing, so it's not like a huge raid creature that lasts a certain amount of time. You keep it forever, and you can cryopod it and all that. Also, when it comes to the saddle, these are the requirements. It's a level 76 unlock. It's not a tech saddle, even though it looks like one, but it only takes 380 hide, like 150 metal, and 200 fiber, which I think is pretty cheap, honestly. And when it comes to breeding, you cannot breed this thing yet. So breeding is going to be locked on it until Lost Colony comes out. So as of right now, you're not going to be able to breed them, which I think kind of ruins them a little bit, you know? I mean, I guess for the more late game people, it'll also be fun to tame these things. But once Lost Colony comes out, you will be able to breed them. They have confirmed that you can breed these things once Lost Colony comes out, so it's not going to be like that forever. It's just going to be like that for the next month until Lost Colony comes out. When it comes to its attacks, it has like a basic claw swipe. As you've been seeing, you can do the claw swipe while you're running. You can also jump and do the claw swipe midair. And this thing is pretty powerful. I think it's going to be like stronger than a Rex, but not nearly as strong as something like a Giga. And then it has its ice shards that it shoots out. And you can actually upgrade this part and get more, which I'll go into a little bit later. But you have 10 of them. And like I said, you can upgrade to get more, but I'll talk about that later. But anyway, when you do shoot them out, it basically just freezes everything in the area. So it's like a huge area of effect thing. And then the more you upgrade it, the more like space you get and the more icicles you get. And that's going to be nice just for slowing things down that are attacking you. It also deals a little bit of damage over time. It doesn't deal a ton. Like it's only doing like 14 per second. But that's still nice to have some extra damage while it's dealing damage. Its next ability for me is R3 on PlayStation. It'll probably be like C on PC. But how this one works is you create a ball, and then you can get super small creatures in there. Any big creatures, it's instantly going to break, but it does damage. And if you have the max amount of creatures in there, it's gonna bust like a bomb and deal a ton of damage. As you can see, that just did 1600 damage. And you can also upgrade this one to where it has more like creatures that you could put in the ball, and then if you have more creatures in there, you're going to do more damage when it explodes. So this is going to be a really powerful ability. This thing also has like a ability where it gets stronger with a certain rider, so it'll like bond with a rider, and all you have to do for bonding is just use it. If you're riding it, it'll like you, and then every like a minute or so it'll get a bonus, and the bonus gives it 0.5% extra on all of its stats, and it does that like every minute you're riding it. I'm sure there is going to be like a cap on that. I'm not sure what that is just yet, but so you can get like basically just, oh, you only want one person riding one of these things, or you want one person per one. You could have multiple of them and then just have different people have their own, but you want to just have one person on one Ossidon, so that way it gets the stat boost over time the more you're riding it, and then you can have even higher stats on this thing. Also, when it gets hit, it gets a speed boost, but it isn't like a huge speed boost or anything, but it is going to help if you're trying to run away from something. One of my favorite things about the Ossidon is when you upgrade one of its stats, it changes the appearance of the Ossidon, and it also gives it a different bonus. So, for example, and we're going to go over all the stats here and what they do. Health, when you increase it, is obviously going to increase health, but it also increases the size of your Ossidon. So, the more health you have, the bigger it's going to be. And this is also going to make it to where you can carry more in the bolus, or I guess the giant ball that you use that ends up exploding, so you're able to carry more if you upgrade health. And then there's stamina, which increases the size of its head crest, so like that giant skull. Well, I guess this giant skull is its head. It's going to increase the size of that. And it's also going to make it to where when you roll the bolus, it's going to last longer, so you can do it for longer, so you don't have to, maybe you can have more time to get creatures in there. If you upgrade Oxygen, it's going to increase its fur length, but it's also going to increase the distance that it can fire its icicle, so you're going to have more range with that. So Oxygen's not going to be useless on this thing. And then, of course, like I said, it increases the fur size, so might even make it look a little bit cooler. Upgrading food is actually going to be pretty useful in this thing because it increases the stomach size, which I didn't really notice the size increasing that much, but we'll get into that later. But it also increases the number of icicles that are in the Ossidon, like when it does that icicle ability. So that's what I was talking about earlier, that you can upgrade it. Of course, the different stats upgrade different functions of it, but this allows you to get more icicles when you shoot that. So if you want more icicles, you upgrade food. And then there's weight, which increases the muscle size, but it also increases the maximum creature size that you can do with the ball. So if you want to get bigger creatures, other than just like the super small ones, you want to upgrade weight, so you'll be able to get bigger creatures, and I feel like you'd probably be able to do more damage with the explosions. And then melee damage just increases the claw size, and you're going to be able to do more damage. That one's pretty obvious. And the speed doesn't do anything, because normally you can't even upgrade speed. That's only a single player thing. So upgrading speed doesn't change any of its attributes, other than making it faster. I have all max level Ossidons here, and each one has 88 points put into each of the stats. So the left one is health, so you can see the size difference. Then there's the Oxygen, which has more fur. In the middle there is melee damage. That one has the biggest claws right there. Then there's stamina, which has the biggest head crest. I think it's a little bit noticeable there. Food makes the stomach bigger. As you can see, I can't really tell with the stomach if it's any bigger or not. It doesn't really look like it. Then there's the weight, which makes the muscles bigger. It's kind of noticeable, but barely. The ones I really notice are like the health one, because that one actually makes it a lot bigger. But I just wanted to show this here so you could see all the appearance differences in between all these guys. Also, when it comes to size, I have a Rex at the very right there, and of course there's a hill, so that's kind of messing up the size comparison a little bit. But right next to the Rex is a level 5 Ossidon, so as you can see, it's about the size of a Rex. And then I have a 150 perfect tame, so 225 in the center there, and you can see that one's a bit bigger than the regular Ossidon, and a decent amount size bigger than a Rex. And then on the left there, the left Ossidon is max health, all the points pumped into health. And then on the left is a Giga there, so as you can see, like a max health Ossidon. Of course, you can get even more health than with that, with like mutations and stuff. Once Lost Colony fully comes out, you'll be able to get even bigger ones with mutations, but for now, that's the biggest one, next to a Giga. This was something I was not expecting, but I tested it anyway, and it works. You can bring these things into boss fights. Yeah, I just went and tested it anyway, because I didn't think you would, but I was like, might as well test it, and you can. and you can't really fit 20 of them in there because they're so big, but you can fit like at least like 16 or 17 of them in there. I tried bringing these things fully leveled up to the dragon fight, and they did lose. Mainly because you can't get mutations on these things, or imprinting, or saddles yet. I'm assuming when Lost Colony comes out, you can actually mutate these things. They're probably going to be one of the best boss fighters in the game, I think, personally. I feel like that's definitely going to happen. But right now, since you can't breed them or anything, they're not the best for boss fighting because of that, and you also can't get good saddles yet. But once Lost Colony does come out, like I said, you'll be able to get amazing saddles, and you're going to be able to mutate these things, and they're going to be super... I feel like they're going to be way stronger than Rex's. Like, they're definitely going to be better than Rex's for boss fights. Like, there's no way they're not going to be. So, we'll have to see once Lost Colony comes out. I think these might be some of the best boss fighters in the game. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it or find it helpful, make sure to leave a like. And let me know what you think of the Ossidon. Personally, I think it's pretty awesome. I really liked the trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer, I'd recommend to go watch it, because it's pretty awesome, and the soundtrack for Lost Colony's in there. Definitely got me hyped for Lost Colony, even though I wish this came out with Lost Colony instead of now, but, you know, whatever. We get it now, at least, to mess with it. But thanks for watching, and bye.